Waiting at gate 12, the metal in his prosthetic leg set off the alarm. The security officer approached with a mocking smile. "Traveling alone at your age? Where's your family?" The old man stood silently. Just then, an announcement echoed through the terminal. "General Morrison, please report to the VIP lounge." Everyone turned to look. Welcome to Tales of Valor. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from and how old you are. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button and support our channel. James Morrison, 72 years old, followed the same routine for every trip. Arrive early at the airport. Try not to draw attention. Wait quietly in a corner. He wasn't a general anymore, just a tired old man. After 35 years of military service, he had retired. 2 tours in Iraq, 3 in Afghanistan, countless classified operations. Bronze Star, Silver Star, Distinguished Service Cross, Legion of Merit, all hidden deep in a closet at home. His prosthetic leg was from 2007. Fallujah, roadside bomb. He was lucky, actually. He'd lost 3 of his soldiers in that same blast. Walking had been painful ever since, but he never complained. He was alive, and that was enough. Why did he dress civilian? Because he wasn't part of that life anymore. The uniform days were behind him. Now he was just a father visiting his daughter in Pittsburgh, a grandfather seeing his grandchildren. November 15, 2023, Wednesday morning. James had arrived early as always. 3 hours before his United Airlines 10:30 flight, he was already at the terminal. He got in line for security screening. That morning, TSA officer Derek Williams was working the security checkpoint. 28 years old, he'd started the job 3 years ago and considered himself an expert. He was especially good at spotting suspicious passengers, and in his opinion, elderly people traveling alone were always suspicious. When James reached the front of the line, he walked through the metal detector. What he expected happened. His prosthetic leg triggered the alarm. This happened every time. "Sir, please step aside," Derek said, showing no courtesy. James calmly stepped aside. He knew this procedure very well. "Why did the alarm go off?" Derek asked, as if he didn't know the answer. "Prosthetic leg," James said quietly. Derek rolled his eyes. "Right. Do you have a doctor's note?" James pulled the medical documentation from his bag. Derek took the report but set it on the counter without reading it. "Traveling alone at your age? Where's your family?" Derek asked, his tone mocking. James didn't answer this question because it was complicated. His wife Linda had died of cancer 3 years ago. His daughter Sarah lived in Pittsburgh, and he visited her every month. But he didn't have to explain this. "So, where are you headed?" Derek continued. "Pittsburgh." "What for?" "Visiting my daughter." Derek laughed. "Isn't air travel a bit risky at your age? Blood clots, heart attacks? Maybe the bus would be safer." Other passengers in line were hearing this conversation. Some were uncomfortable. Dr. Amanda Foster, a 45-year-old cardiologist, was waiting in line behind them. She was observing Derek's treatment of the elderly man and didn't like it at all. "Excuse me," Amanda said, stepping forward. "This gentleman is going through normal security procedures. Why are you asking so many questions?" Derek shrugged. "Security protocol. We need extra attention for passengers like this." "What protocol?" Amanda asked. "I travel frequently and I've never seen anything like this." Derek became uncomfortable. "Ma'am, please wait in line." James gave Dr. Foster a grateful look but didn't want her to intervene. He just wanted to finish this and leave. Derek went even further. "Sir, I need to conduct a full search." James knew this wasn't normal, but he didn't object. Derek led him to a private screening room. "Remove your shoes, your jacket too." James slowly removed everything. His prosthetic leg was clearly visible, but Derek acted as if he hadn't noticed. "Is that leg real?" Derek asked mockingly. James looked at him. In his eyes was neither anger nor surprise, just deep fatigue. "Yes, it's prosthetic." "How did it happen? Car accident?" James didn't answer, because he would never share that story with anyone. The story of the 3 soldiers he lost in Fallujah: Sergeant Martinez, Corporal Johnson, Private Davis. They were 19, 20, and 21 years old. Not talking, huh? Something secret? At this point, Derek's supervisor, Janet Collins, approached. She was 52 years old and had been doing this job for 15 years. "Derek, what's going on here?" "Routine search, ma'am. This gentleman has a prosthetic leg." Janet looked at James. She noticed something in the man's posture, in the expression in his eyes. This wasn't an ordinary passenger. "Sir, I apologize. Your screening is complete. You may proceed." Derek was surprised. "But ma'am, I wasn't finished." "Derek, you're done. The gentleman may proceed." James finally made it through security to the gate area. He went to gate 12B and sat in a corner seat at the back. It was 8:45 a.m., still 2 hours before his flight. He pulled out a book from his bag, The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. Vietnam stories. He normally didn't read war books, but this one was different. This book told about the emotional burden of war, not just the physical. As he read, Derek's words kept running through his mind. "Traveling alone at your age? Where's your family?" Where was his family?
Maybe Derek was right. Maybe air travel really was dangerous at his age. But what was he supposed to do? Sit at home alone and wait for death? As he read, his mind wandered to the past. He had graduated from West Point in 1975. Back then, he felt the pride of being part of the world's most powerful military. His first assignment was Germany. He had stood guard at the border during the Cold War. Then came the Gulf War, Bosnia, Afghanistan, Iraq. In every war, every operation, he had learned that heroism wasn't what was told in stories. Real heroism was being able to make the right decisions while dealing with fear. Being able to bring his soldiers home. But he hadn't always succeeded. That day in Fallujah, he was at the front of the convoy. When the IED exploded, he first checked the vehicles behind. He found Martinez in pieces. Johnson couldn't breathe. Davis. He squeezed his eyes shut. These memories kept him awake at night. At 10 a.m., an announcement came over the terminal speakers. "Attention passengers and visitors. General Morrison, please report to the VIP lounge. General Morrison to the VIP lounge, please." James looked up. Was this for him? But no one knew he was a general. When he bought his ticket, it just said, "Mr. Morrison." The announcement was repeated. "General James Morrison, please report to the United Airlines VIP lounge immediately." This time his name was pronounced too. People around him started looking at him. The old man stood up and slowly began walking toward the VIP lounge. Derek Williams at the security checkpoint had heard these announcements. At first he hadn't paid attention, but when the second announcement came, the name sounded familiar. Then he remembered, the old man he had searched that morning. His heart began racing. Had he made a mistake? 2 people were waiting at the entrance to the VIP lounge. One was Maria Santos, United Airlines' Chicago regional manager. The other was Airport Security Chief Colonel, retired, Robert Hayes. "General Morrison?" Maria said politely. "I'm James Morrison, yes, but I'm not a general anymore." "Sir, we have a special message for you. The Pentagon called." James was surprised. His contact with the Pentagon had been cut off after retirement. Colonel Hayes stepped forward. "Sir, I'm also a retired soldier. It's a great honor to meet you. Your name is still spoken with great respect in military circles." "About what?" "The Fallujah operations, sir. The 2007 evacuations. Under your leadership, more than 200 soldiers were evacuated to safety." James knew this wasn't true. He had lost 3 soldiers in that operation. This wasn't a success story. "Colonel, I think there's been a mistake." "No, sir. The records are clear. You evacuated your entire team despite being wounded in that operation, and afterwards, you led rescue operations." Maria handed James the envelope she was holding. This came from the Pentagon. They said it was urgent. James opened the envelope. Inside was an official invitation. "General Morrison, you are invited as a special guest to the Department of Defense 75th Anniversary Ceremony. Special recognition will be given to Distinguished Service Cross recipients during the ceremony. Date, December 15, 2023. Location, Pentagon Auditorium. RSVP, Colonel Jennifer Adams. Your service and sacrifice are never forgotten. Secretary of Defense." James read the letter and shook his head. I think there's been a mistake. I don't attend these kinds of ceremonial events. Sir, said Colonel Hayes, this isn't just recognition, this is preserving history. Young soldiers should know your story. Meanwhile, at the security checkpoint, Derek Williams was in a panic. He approached Supervisor Janet Collins. Ma'am, the old man I searched this morning. I think he's a general. Which old man? The one with the prosthetic leg. I asked him a lot of questions. Now they're calling him from the VIP lounge. Janet's face changed. Derek, exactly what questions did you ask? Normal security questions, traveling alone at your age and stuff like that. Oh God, Derek, did you commit age discrimination against a general? Derek's mouth went dry. I didn't know he was a general. That's the point. You shouldn't treat anyone like that. After learning the situation from Colonel Hayes, the airport security chief immediately called the TSA supervisor. Janet, which TSA agent dealt with General Morrison this morning? Derek Williams, sir. But he didn't know? Janet, listen carefully. General Morrison is a 35-year military veteran, Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, Purple Heart recipient. He lost his leg in Fallujah while saving 3 soldiers. Janet's heart stopped. Sir, what do we need to do? Derek Williams off duty immediately, full investigation, and a personal apology to General Morrison. Meanwhile, Dr. Amanda Foster, who had witnessed Derek's behavior at the security checkpoint that morning, posted on LinkedIn. This morning at O'Hare, witnessed TSA agent disrespecting elderly passenger with prosthetic leg. Agent asked inappropriate questions about age and traveling alone. Later learned the passenger was decorated military general. This behavior is unacceptable. #respect our veterans. The post got 500 shares within 2 hours. Similar experiences began being shared in the comments. Sarah Mitchell, a business traveler on the same flight as James, wrote on Twitter, "Watched elderly veteran being harassed at security this morning. Agent made fun of his age and disability. Later announced as General Morrison over PA. TSA needs better training. #shame." By noon, a reporter from the Chicago Tribune had picked up the story. They contacted airport management. "We've received reports about a TSA agent disrespecting a military veteran this morning. Can you comment?" Airport PR manager Margaret Davis wasn't aware of the situation. She urgently started an investigation. Around the same time, Military Times magazine, popular among veterans, also began looking into the matter. In the VIP lounge, James realized the situation was escalating, but he didn't want media attention. "Colonel Hayes, this situation is attracting too much attention. I'm just a man going to visit his daughter." "Sir, respectfully, you're not just a man, you're a symbol of sacrifice and service." "I don't want to be a symbol, I want peace." Maria Santos intervened. "General Morrison, if you'd like, we can arrange a private jet. You can avoid the media attention." James thought about it. Running away would be easy, but would that be right? At 2 p.m., Derek Williams came to the VIP lounge accompanied by Supervisor Janet Collins. His face was pale, his hands trembling. James looked at him. Derek was a young man, probably had a family. "Sir," Derek said, trembling, "I'm deeply sorry for my behavior toward you this morning. It was inexcusable." James stood up. Derek was preparing to salute, but James extended his hand. "Son, we all make mistakes. What's important is learning from them." Derek was surprised. He hadn't expected this kind of reaction. "Sir, I didn't know who you were." "That's exactly the point," James said calmly. "You didn't know who I was, but you should show respect to every person, even if you don't know who they are." James continued, "Derek, why do you do this job?" "To keep people safe, sir." "Exactly, you protect. But protecting isn't just physical safety. It's also protecting people's dignity." Derek nodded. The impact of this conversation would be profound. "Sir, I'm going to change, I promise." "Son, I believe in your promise. But remember, change is shown through actions, not words." Janet Collins was watching this exchange.
General Morrison's empathy and wisdom were impressive. From that day on, change began at Chicago O'Hare. Airport management started a sensitivity training program. Derek Williams voluntarily became the first participant in the program. He began working with veteran organizations. Dr. Amanda Foster's LinkedIn post went viral. It reached 10,000 shares. In the comments, hundreds of veterans shared similar experiences. That afternoon, James finally flew to Pittsburgh on the 3:30 p.m. flight. This time he had been upgraded to first class, courtesy of United Airlines. On the plane, flight attendant Sarah Chen gave him special attention. "General Morrison, if you need anything, please let me know. Just James, please, and normal treatment is..."
During the flight, James looked out the window at the clouds and thought. This morning was supposed to be a normal routine flight, but life was never predictable. That day in Fallujah was also supposed to be a normal patrol, but the IED had exploded and everything changed. When he landed at Pittsburgh Airport, his daughter Sarah was waiting. James's face lit up when he saw her. "Dad, how was the flight?" "Interesting," James said with a smile. "Why interesting?" "Long story. I'll tell you later." His 8-year-old granddaughter Emma came running. "Grandpa Jim!" James hugged her. This moment made everything that happened that morning worthwhile. "Emma, I missed you so much." "I missed you too, Grandpa. Will you tell me stories?" "Of course, Princess, but first you tell me about school stories." At dinner at Sarah's house, James told about the day's events. "Dad, this is incredible," Sarah said. "You've always been humble about your service." "Honey, service is about humility. We didn't do it for recognition." Emma asked, "Grandpa, are you a real hero?" James thought. "Emma, real heroes are people who do the right thing when no one's watching. TSA agent Derek learned that lesson today." "Aren't you angry with him?" "No, Princess. Being angry is easy. Forgiving and teaching is hard. But that's how we make the world better." After that night, James's perspective changed. He realized that every day there was an opportunity to teach, to make an impact. Derek Williams changed as he had promised. He became an instructor for the Veteran Sensitivity Program. He trained hundreds of TSA agents. A plaque was hung in one of the corridors at Chicago O'Hare, dedicated to respectful service to all travelers, regardless of age, ability, or background. James attended the Pentagon ceremony, but in his speech, he didn't tell war stories. He spoke about respect, empathy, and second chances. Emma gave a presentation about her grandfather at school. The title, "My Grandpa, Hero Who Teaches Kindness." And Derek Williams, on every shift, remembers General Morrison's words. "You should show respect to every person, even if you don't know who they are." Sometimes the greatest victories don't happen on battlefields. They happen in everyday interactions, when we choose kindness over judgment, understanding over assumption. James Morrison never saw himself as a hero, but that day at the airport, he showed kindness through example, and that's what real heroism looks like. This story is fictional and was created inspired by real events. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is coincidental.